lying down pose on the ground. We're going to have knees high, lying onto our backs. So using the hands to ease ourselves down and block under the head and a little wriggle of the hips out from side to side, taking the feet a little wider, let the knees rock in. So we can get the spine to be nice and long, relax the shoulders a little bit, loosen the jaw, taking a couple of nice deeper breaths. Let hands come out by the side of the body. And we'll draw the knees in, one leg at a time. Take the hands on top of the kneecaps and just starting to make some gentle circles. So we're following a very slow breath. Exhale as you come in. Inhale as you go away. So there's a gentle tilt through the pelvis. Getting a little stretch into the hips and the lower back muscles, and a little bit into the shoulders. We'll take the knees the opposite directions, just reversing the breath. And we'll let the feet come to the floor, center line, close to the bottom, drawing the right knee in towards the chest. Draw that knee towards the armpit, slide out the opposite leg, flex the toes towards us, press out through the heel, turn the thigh in gently. And we'll swap that over, draw the feet back in. Take it to the second side. And then bring the heels back in again. As you do, we take the arms out wide, crucifix style. We're just letting the legs roll over to the right, head to the left. Easing the legs down, nice and gently, relaxed, easy breathing in the belly. And allow the knees to roll back up gently as you exhale. Breath at the top. Roll into the second side. I'm going to bring the right hand across the chest. Roll onto my left side. Use the hands to press into the floor to come back up. Take a little breath as I move the block out of the way. Tuck the ankles underneath. Roll onto the shins. Gently come up onto all fours. Take a little cat-cow. Draw the chest forwards. Roll the spine up. We're coming to a neutral position. Tuck the toes of the right foot underneath. Slide the foot back. Make sure the other knee is underneath the hip. The shin presses down to the floor as we draw the belly in. Lifting that right foot off the ground to that height of the hip, bending the knee. And we'll take the opposite hand away from the floor, lengthen out, look towards the fingers, and take that out to the side. We're going to open up into the twist, taking the foot back, finding the toes, and then lengthening the shin away. Open the chest a little more as much as we can. Let the shoulder relax, and use the shin to stretch out the shoulder joint a little bit. And we release from there. Bring it all down gently to the floor. Take a breath. Tuck the toes in the opposite foot underneath. Slide that leg back. Draw the belly in slowly as you lift the foot. The two kind of work together. Allow yourself to bend the knee as you take your opposite hand out. Slowly draw the hand round. The more time you take to exhale around, the easier it is to find a foot back there. And then press away a little bit. Let the chest open. And then we'll release everything. Bring it back down to the floor. The knees wide, sit back onto the heels. Stretch it out into a child's pose. Spread the shoulder blades out wide, even though you're drawing the hands forwards. And we'll let ourselves lift back up onto all fours. And we're going to combine cat-cow with child's pose. So drawing the chest forwards, tucking the tailbone under, sitting back down so the knees are a little narrower. Forearms, head come to the floor. Inhale is used to draw ourselves up and forwards. And the exhale going back. Coming forwards again. Come back up to tabletop. Tuck the toes underneath and sit back onto the heels. And if that feels okay this time of the morning, you can walk yourself gently back up. Bring the hands back into the front of the mat. Untuck the toes. Give them a little tap out. And then tap them underneath just enough so that we can lift the hips up towards the sky and walk the feet in gently towards the front of the mat to a forward fold. So arrive with the feet parallel, a nice big bend in the knees so the ribs can sit right down on the thighs, and we can let the head hang down and the spine drops out of the pelvis. Now we're going to stretch those hammies and quads a little bit further by dropping the bottom down even lower and slowly taking the hands away from the floor, out in front of us. So we come into a very deep chair pose, belly drawn in. Knees tracking the toes. And then we'll slowly lift up. On the exhale, let the hands come down. Hands into the heart as we breathe in. I'm going to step to my left, take the feet out nice and wide into that star shape that we use. And then turn the toes into the front of the mat. I'm going to ease myself into my first warrior two. So I'm going to try and take the knee over the ankle. Check that I keep my pelvis nice and level in this direction. Turn the chest to the long side of the mat. Just have a little look at the back foot, make sure the toes are closer to me than the heel. And lengthening out through the fingertips, relaxing the shoulders. Trying to get about a 50-50 weight through the legs. So you should be able to feel the back thigh and the inner groin lifting. We'll take a breath from here. We're going to drop the front hip down a little bit to extend out and over the front knee. And then bring the forearm onto the front thigh. We're going to wrap the top arm around and bring it onto the top of the thigh. So we're not coming down low into that forearm. We're actually lifting ourselves up nice and high. There's a good line between the back leg and the body. Now just slowly start to straighten the front leg. Let the hand come onto the shin. So the body pretty much stays where it was. It's the legs that move and change position. Press down into the ball joint on the front foot. Chest stays open to the side. Back foot is still active. We'll soften the front knee. Come back in gently to the warrior two. So reset the pelvis first, then take the arms out. Lift the arms towards the sky. Rotate the body towards the front of the mat. We're going to spin the heel up towards the sky on the back leg. And then we're going to lengthen forwards, pressing into the back foot. Bring the hands down, push off the toes, ease into that forward fold. Sink down, soften the knees, take the hands forwards again into that low chair. Drive through the legs on the exhale. Drop the hands to the side, breath in. Hands into the heart, we turn to the right. Take the feet out nice and wide. Star shape, we turn the feet towards the front mat. We ease into the second side for warrior two. Again, we start to drop that front hip, lengthen out. Forearm comes onto the thigh. Rear hand comes round onto the thigh. So it's quite a high lift. You can look over the back shoulder or to the side of the mat, your choice. The bottom forearm is, or wrist, is just pressing gently into the thigh. And then we keep the body where it is. We start to straighten the front leg slowly. Let the hand come onto the shin, into that triangle pose. Off from the front knee, come back into Warrior Two. Hands come directly above the shoulders, nice straight arms. Rotate the body gently. Slowly lift that back heel into high crescent. Momentum forwards, draw the belly in, exhale, press out through the back heel. Let the hands come to the floor. When you're ready, push off the toes into that forward fold. Make sure the feet are aligned and parallel. You sit the bottom down into that chair. Take the hands away gently, belly drawn in. And drive through the legs to lift up. Use the hands down. Into the heart. Take a breath with the eyes closed. So very slow dynamic stretches. You'll have built some heat up in the legs, working through that. And then we'll shake it all out. And reset the feet. Take the hands high. Breath comes in. Hands into the heart. Then we lean forwards, draw the belly in, soften the knee. Hands to the floor, step back into our down dog. We'll draw the right knee into the chest. Bring the foot through to the very front of the mat into a lunge. Check the front knee is over the ankle. Strong back leg. And then take the hands away from the floor. Draw them alongside the body as we lift the chest, just a fraction off of the thigh. Take the hands forward so they line up in line with the rest of the body. And then lift the whole body out slowly into that high crescent. Take a breath, and we're lowering the back knee down to the floor. And take your arms out wide. Lean gently over the front thigh back into hands on the floor position. Take the right hand forwards into a twist. So just turning the body gently to the side. Bring the hands back down towards the hip. Floating the hands forwards. Rotating up. And gently back. We're trying to keep the front knee drawn in towards the chest. The chest is rotating around a little bit, so that adds It's a little bit of concentration requirement. And last time. Now bring the hands to the floor. We'll step back into our down dog. And then we'll come up on the tiptoes and draw the left knee in this time. Bring the foot through to the front of the mat into the lunge. Take a breath, press off the toes, up into the forward fold. Hands onto the hips, soft knees and a flat back to lift. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhale down to the floor. We'll step back into our down dog. Draw the left knee in, bring the foot through. Front of the mat. We're into big lunge territory. Checking the front knees over the ankle. Making sure we're happy with our balance. We lift the hands away from the floor. And alongside the body, we just get that little bit of a lift going on so we start to contract the abdominal muscles in. We float the arm forwards, in line with the body. Lift the whole body up slowly. Take a breath at the top. Ease the knee down gently to the floor behind. Let the arms come out wide. As you lean forward, you bring the hands down to the floor. Framing the front foot. Take the left hand forwards and inhale up, rotate round. Big breath to the sky. Exhale it down to the floor. Two more. And last one. Let's come to the ground. We step back into that down dog. And we'll draw the right knee in. Bring that foot through onto the mat. Into the lunge. We take a breath. We step forwards. Hands on the hips. And let ourselves lift up slow. Inhale high. Hands through the heart. Exhaling down to the floor. Take a little breath. And step back into our down dog. Come forwards into plank. Draw the shoulders back, strong legs. Push the toes into a half plank. Boot laces change, strong legs, lengthen them away. Chest lifts, shoulders roll back. Hips lift up. Down dog. We draw the left knee in towards the chest. Foot through. Drop the back heel onto the center line for warrior two. Hands onto the front thigh. We lift up and open. Float the hands above the shoulders. Lengthen as we rotate. Down to the floor. Step back into a down dog. Come forwards into plank. Strong legs and belly drawn in. Push forwards on the toes. Half plank. Up dog. Draw the belly in, lift. Down dog. And we'll draw the right knee in, bring the foot through. Drop the back heel. Hands onto the front thigh. Open up into a warrior two. Hands above the head. Rotate, lengthen out. Back foot stays poised. Then the heel spins. This time we step into the front of the mat, forward fold. Hands onto the hips, soft lift. Inhale high. And hands into the heart, closing the eyes again. And then the toes spread. Connecting with the ground. And roll the eyes open and just shake that out again. Now we're going to come into a standing pose. So I'm just going to move some things around a little bit so I'm flat to the floor. Itch. And then bring the toes together and a little gap for the heels. Nice off to spread the toes out for a second. Nicely connected. Hands in towards the heart. So tree pose as we know, but we're going to add a small side bend into it once we get there. That's the plan. So I'm going to take the weight into the left foot. Slowly draw the right knee away and up. Once it gets about the height of the hip, we're going to see if we can take the knee out to the side, keeping the hips pointing forwards. And then slide the hand down the shin to bring the heel in to the top of the groin. So I'm going to try and make sure that your foot is away from the knee joint. I'm going to take the arms slowly out to the side. I've got no balance this morning at all. And then ease the hands up towards the sky. Take a little breath to see if we can get the palms to reach above the head. And then if you can, you're going to take a very gentle side bend towards your right. And then let yourself come back out. Shake out the legs a little bit. So it just takes tree pose into a slightly different direction for us. Challenges our neural pathway connections. which apparently I have very few this morning. I must have left them in the bed. So bring the toes together. Find your focus point. We'll take it into the right leg this time. Draw in the left knee high. Using the knee out to the side. Bring the hand down to the shin, into the ankle joint. Hook the heel in. So you press the thigh and the foot together. Let the hand slowly come out to the side. Bring the hands above the head. Bring the palms to touch. And then it's a very little side bend over to the left. And then step it out. Let yourself come back onto the mat. Nice and easy. Tadasana position. Take the hands high into the heart. Exhale slowly down to the floor. Step it back into down dog. And then we'll bring it into a plank. Let the knees come to the floor. Spin the feet out to the side. And take the legs out in front for Dandasana. I'm going to bring the block close by. I'm not going to use it just yet, but going to be ready there for us. I'm going to wriggle the flesh out a little bit. Flex the toes back, fingers to the floor. Roll the shoulders back and lengthen the spine up out of the pelvis. Try and draw the front pelvis bones forwards just that little bit so that you're tilting the pelvis into neutral rather than rolling back. And then we're going to draw the heels in. I'm going to take the feet about hip distance apart. So as I do that, I'm sort of looking at the distance I've got there. Slide my bottom in towards my heels. Use my hands to ease myself down to the floor so I'm ready for bridge pose. Just taking the hands all the way to the heels. Rolling the spine under a little bit. And then on the exhale, I'm going to draw the belly down so the lower back goes into the floor. Tilt the tailbone up towards the sky and then start to lift the hips up. So press the arms into the ground. Roll the shoulders under a little more. Lengthen the knees away. And take a breath at the top. And then roll the spine gently back down to the floor. Using a slow, long exhale. You get each vertebrae a chance to move in gently. Take another breath at the bottom in. Exhale, draw the belly, tailbone lifts, and then we use the rest of the exhale to lift up. Breath at the top. Roll the spine down. I'm just going to continue our merry little way through that for a moment. We'll come up for the last time. Now, as we arrive, we'll wriggle the toes and heels back onto the center line and walk the feet even closer into the bottom. We'll take the right knee in towards the chest, take the hands around the back of the thigh, and then press that foot to the sky. Now flex the foot, spread the toes, draw the hips down into the floor. So you can draw the belly down, bring the pelvis with you. Doesn't matter if the leg is bent or not. In fact, it's probably a little bit better if it doesn't hyperextend. And we'll ease the feet down to the floor, side by side. Take the second leg in, hands around the back of the thigh, quite low to the groin, and then press the foot into the sky. And we'll release. Going to roll onto my right side. Just use the hands, press into the floor to lift up. And then draw the block underneath my bottom. Lengthen out into that Dandasana shape. So just wriggle through the sit bones and then taking the left foot underneath and out to the side. We'll take a little breath here. And now I'm going to bring the right foot back in. I'm not crossing over. I'm going to bring it more towards the sort of outside of the hip edge, toes pointing forwards. And the knee kind of hangs out to the side. So I'm going to have to try and draw that in, so just using a little bit of effort to bring that in and lift up through the sitting bones as well. You'll rotate to my left and then press my right arm against my right leg. Looking over the back shoulder. So a little bit of resistance through the leg and the arm. And then I'll release. And we'll do the same to the second side. So again, make sure you're sitting tall, get in that nice healthy position for the spine. Right foot comes under, knee goes down to the floor and it's pointing forwards. So the hips and the knee are all pointing in the same direction. Left foot comes in again, it's a little bit wider. So I can start to draw the knee in, rotate the body, press that arm and leg into each other. Rotate round, try and keep the sitting bones attached to the ground. It's very easy for that left cheek to lift off the ground. We're trying to let the right knee stay down on the floor and relax. It wants to join in. So it looks like a simple twist, but I actually find this harder than the closed twist. And then we'll release from there. Let the legs back out. We're going to come back down to the floor, moving into Happy Baby and then Shavasana. So I'm going to use the block just to support the head, roll the spine down. Wriggle the spine out gently. We're going to draw the knees in towards the body, take them wide. Now we want to look at what happens to the body as we slide the fingers down the shin bones. So we can probably get to the ankles with the spine being very flat to the floor. But as we try and take the hands around the outside edge of little toe, If that causes the tailbone to lift off the ground, then I want you to take your happy baby with the hands on the shins and the ankles. If you're okay to walk the fingers in without getting too much lift, then you're going to take one foot at a time, either fingers around little toes or around shins towards the sky, nice right angle. So we're trying to stay very flat to the floor. So actually trying to use the muscles inside that pelvic girdle to draw down towards the floor. And then we'll release the feet. Back in. Give ourselves a little hug. And then let the feet come to the floor. And if your back is feeling tilt tender, keep the knees high, feet wide. Otherwise, we'll slide a heel at a time to the corner edges on the mat. Let the toes roll out. And let the hands come by the side of the body. Just take that final little wiggle through the body to level everything out. Let it relax down. Eyes soften. Jaw relaxed. And we'll start to wriggle those toes and fingers. Wrists and ankles join in. Deeper breath. Use that to stretch out on the exhale. Then ease the knees in. Either a hug or a little gentle wriggle from side to side, whatever feels good. And then we'll roll onto our right side. Use the hands to press in the floor to ease our way from the ground as we exhale, sitting up slowly. Nice long spine. easy sitting position for the body. We bring the hands into the heart, taking a breath in, closing the eyes. Letting the chin drop as we gently start from the exhale. As the belly draws in, we can bow down carefully to the floor, tuning our practice. On the inhale, we'll let that breath build the spine for us. Till the hip lifts, eyes open. Namaste. Thank you for joining me.